This is my second Firewood Hoarders video. I just wanted to do a follow-up. I just thought about something I didn't put in the first video, which is wanted to show you some of the challenges of heating this space. You can see here, this is where I sit right here, okay? And the stove room is right over here at the lobby. But what I wanted to point out in this video was the dynamics of the way the room and the area is set up. You got a stove here, and you got a 14-foot tall ceiling, and there's where that exits through up into the attic and then out the roof. But you can see here, if you're looking at the stove, from where the stove is, you can see here this is really high. That's where I sit, right over there. But the ceiling is really, really high there. That's probably like 12 or 13 feet tall. So naturally the heat kind of flows in that direction. And here's another part of the office, and you can see that it's a lot lower. So the heat does flow back there surprisingly well. And I don't know why that is, because if you look over at this room, to another room, this is where my assistant sits. This has also got a kind of a low opening by comparison. You can see that. And heat doesn't flow very well into that room at all. So what I have here, just got a little fan on the floor, and I learned from Hart Forum that you blow the cold air into the warm room, so that I guess by default the heat kind of comes up here, back here, as it's pushed out the cold air and it's replaced there. So this room actually does get reasonably warm, but I would never describe it as really, really warm. So sometimes my assistant turns on a little electric heater and makes me turn the furnace on. But this room right over here, this room generally gets about probably between 5 degrees warmer than average. Right now you can see it says 77 in there, and I'm quite comfortable at this temperature. And then so that's just kind of one of the things. It took me a while to figure out that fan technique, because the first season, which would have been 2010, 2011, I had this. It was not ever warm in this room, and my assistant always complained a lot. Then I got another room over here, and this is, mine the mop bucket, but they got another room here, and this room also stays a lot cooler than that other room. Just again, you got that kind of an opening. Here's the stove right there, but you got a, you've got a lower opening, and that tends to not really translate to a real good natural heat flow. So anyways, this is my follow-up video there, and so that's about the space that I'm heating. There's a little bit more in the back corner of the office. There's another room back there and stuff, but that doesn't matter. But looking at about 1,500 square feet, and I'm heating it with a one Heritage currently, and most of the time that does pretty good because the building's very well insulated. It's not a real old building, so they tend to put a lot more insulation in things now than they did at one time maybe. But the windows are good, not fantastic, but they're good. Insulation's pretty good, so one Heritage does pretty well, unless you're talking about going into like some of this January where we had was minus 13, and those times you're really, really pushing it, as hard as you can to stay around maybe 70 degrees max in the whole space. So but for the most part it works pretty good with such a smaller stove. But alright, that's my follow-up video. More to come.